Oh, it's Amy Hauser, and I'm excited to be here today and talk a little bit about peace. I want to hop on. It's probably not going to be a super long recording today, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about peace. And if you had the opportunity to read my blog post from yesterday, great. You'll know that's the direction I'm going. And you probably know I'm going to talk a little bit about EFT or emotional freedom technique today, too. So if you have not watched it, maybe you'll want to go back, hit pause on this recording and go check it out. And it'll take you about a minute to read, maybe two, and we can hop on here and just chat. So grab a cup of coffee or something, but you know what? I don't actually have anything. I just finished a little smoothie and now it's raining here, so I have to leave a little earlier for an appointment than I planned to. But as promised, I wanted to get this out at around 11 o'clock today. So, oh man, just want to sit back, and I love just a gentle rain. You know what? We had a bunch of landscaping work done in our front yard and some trees moved around. And the last 2 days for us, it's been awesome because we have this gentle, constant rain and I don't have to water all the time. And I mean, just thinking of that makes me think about how what brings peace to some brings stress to others, right? Because some people might be like, I had my kid's birthday party planned today, and this constant rain is not working and it's stressing me out and it's stealing my peace. There's so many things that are going on all the time that we feel like we don't have our peace in. And I mentioned in the blog, just talking about peace. Peace is a word, peace. We've talked about peace for so long. And, you can look at it from a political perspective and, what we, tie peace to how the state of our nations, or are we in a state of peace politically? How are we going after things that are important to us, causes that are important, and how do we approach the differences like of countries, states, individuals, businesses, whatever. Are we doing it in a peaceful way? Are we doing it in a forceful way? And what it constitutes, that place of peace, or a nonviolent approach to resolution with something that we're up against. And then we take that to our lives, and where we don't want to war, right? We want to be at peace. We don't want to be, I don't know, I think of it personally as just an unrest. Like if I don't have peace, if I don't have peace in myself, there's an uneasiness or an unrest. Or if there's not peace, say in the home or in a relationship or in a workplace, there's just tension, right? There's a tension, there's a discord or a breaking of something. We want things to be cohesive and comfortable. And, I don't know, what comes to mind, we want it easy, but things aren't always easy. And how do we deal with that lack of peace? I think of Jesus as being the Prince of Peace and that source. So for those of us that are believers, are followers of Christ, what does that mean for us? Like, who is the Prince of Peace? And you know what? I'm really, really glad that today I'm coming to talk from a place of my own peace. And I have a sense of peace today, but that peace can be fleeting. Like, I will be the first to say that 2 days ago, I wasn't in a peaceful day. And it wasn't that there was a ton of things. There were external things. There were relational things going on that kind of was stealing that. But boy, I could feel it. I am someone who is very in tune with my own body. And I don't know if that is true for you. But as we grow in attunement with our body, we kind of can tap in and go, oh, something's off. Sometimes we're not able to be very in tune with our bodies. And it takes others to say, kind of hold up that mirror, if you will, and say, what's going on? What's up? Where, you seem to lost your peace somewhere. And as a society, we are often just saying, well, I need to return to peace, or when I do this, or when you do this, we displace it outside of us. When you do this, I will return. If you stop doing this, then I'll be peaceful. And we're looking to the outside things to change that and shift it for us. When my kids behave, when my house is clean, when there's no disagreement in the home or with close friends or family, then I'm in a peaceful place. And we're searching and longing for this thing that we think we have to muster up for ourselves. And it just doesn't last. It just doesn't last. You know what? I know that this is not a live recording, but if you guys would put in the comments, is this a thing that you think much about? Is this something that you struggle with? What is it that you're looking for when you say, I need peace, or just to yourself, I'm in a state of peace? What does that look like for you? What does that sound like for you? And how do you get there? I love the thoughts and the feedback and love for you guys to comment with each other on that. But what I want to do is really circle back to the Prince of Peace. And so scripture, and I'm not going to go in because I really don't want to always, I'm not a Bible teacher, but I love the Lord. I love the learning that he's doing in me, showing me, growing me, that I'm pursuing in my life, then that I get to share with other people. But it's not that I want to come across here as a theologian or something that I'm not. I want to share what I'm doing, what I'm experiencing, and I want you to do the same so we can encourage people as we're going through life. Like, isn't that what we're to do? And that's why I think I want to get on here, is that we're sharing our journey, we're sharing our experiences. As you get up there in years, you start to go, oh, wow, I've really learned some things differently. And I know I've got a lot of younger women in my life that are like, we need that. We need to see where people aren't always perfect, but what you've learned, what you've gained, and how you've grown. And so for me, in this fleeting thing of peace, sometimes I've mentioned before, boy, depression was something that I have dealt with in the past. I actually had 18 years of being on medication for depression and was in a place where I thought I was in peace for me, because the medicine that they gave me just kind of numbed me out, and it brought me into a place of like, I can just be happy. But I wasn't growing, I wasn't learning, I wasn't practicing the things, the skills, in essence, that would bring me into that place of peace or that realization. It was artificial. And so I've had a lot of relearning to do as an adult. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with medication. There's times, seasons, people need that. For me, it became something that was a crutch. It became something that, they're just like giving me a pill and popping that pill and just saying, oh, she's fine. She seems happy. And so we're good. But what I wasn't doing was learning some things that I should have learned I wish I would have learned at a much younger age. So as I hit some really, really difficult times in my life, I had the opportunity to get so low that the only place I could go was to the arms of Jesus, and to say, I can't do this on my own. I need to know you, and I need to experience who you really are. And you know what? Those cries of the heart, and then not forcing the outcome of what I expect that to be, which I did a lot of, by the way. Over time, he showed me who he was. And yes, through scripture, but also just from absolute silence and sitting in the pain, sitting in that place of lack of peace in my life, and him showing me through other people that I could experience him as my peace. And so as I've learned over the years, really what union is, we talked about that last week on the recording and in the blog post, that we are one with Christ, and that he came to live for us, as us, in us, and then be that source of life in our own being. That this is the temple, this is the dwelling, this is the place that he resides and lives and will always live. And where that becomes not just a great idea, but it becomes our life. It becomes our life source. And so we had the written word, and now we have the living word. We have the written word, which is vital for learning and understanding and story and connection and seeing this big picture where Christ is on every single page, old and new, and coming to the culmination of his life indwelling in us. And that is not something we just one day wake up and go, oh, we get it. And now I have the Prince of Peace. And it's a continual, like, replenishing, going back and re-wetting a dried up sponge that gets dried up from the world and then is available in and through us. I gotta keep an eye on my clock because the alarm's gonna go off and I'm gonna have to leave right in the middle of all this. He is the Prince of Peace, though. He is the one that says, if you noticed on my post yesterday, peace, or the word shalom, and we hear that shalom, shalom, and peace. But if we look at the ancient Hebrew definition of being nothing missing, nothing is broken. So if we're not just saying, if in our quiet, shalom, as I need peace, but there is nothing missing. There is nothing broken. There is wholeness. I'm just keep thinking about this alarm. So it's still in my peace. I'm going to turn it off and just watch the clock. There, I'm back. Okay, so nothing missing, nothing broken. And he is the Prince of Peace. He came for us, as us, and now lives in us. He is in there and nothing is missing, nothing is broken. His life is our life, and we can step into the deepened realization of that. So if we look at the ancient Greek interpretation or definition of peace, which is Irene. Come on, Irene. I'm sorry, it's really Eileen, but Irene, help you remember the word, to join or to set at one again, to be set at one again. What was taken, what was originally intended in the garden, then we had Adam, and now we have the second Adam. He is restoring us to our original design with God in that perfect union. That is for us now, not later. It's already finished, and we're in that place. So, at one again, he is the king of at-one-ment. The at-one-ment, the atonement, he is here. Because of what he did for us, he is here. So what does that mean for us? It doesn't mean we just intellectually get it, but we're growing in our realization. So I can come into that place of saying, Mr. Peace dwells in me. What does that mean for me today in this situation, in this circumstance? And how do I step into that further? This is about relationship, y'all. This is the indwelling presence that grows, that wants to give us that peace. So we don't have to go look for it all the time outside of us, strive to get the peace, muster it up in our own strength and our own being, but it's here. Now we can get mad that we don't have access to it all the time, or we can just surrender to the process of realizing it's us. It's in us regardless of our circumstances. And I know there's stuff that's flying around all the time that we don't understand. Like, but if you only knew what I was dealing with, if you only knew how much trauma and how much pain and how much my family's crazy and this is crazy and I don't have any money, or I don't even have a home, or I don't have this, or I can't access that, I can't find peace. And once I have those things, then I'll have peace. Well, what if he's saying, in the midst of all of those things, I am your peace. I am available for you. Because I came and I've already entered into all of those dark places. I assumed it all. And now I want to let that life flow from you. Y'all, this is not easy, but it's simple. It's not easy. And so I mentioned one thing that I do to bring me into that place when I feel like my lid is flipped and I can't find peace. literally in my physiology, my prefrontal cortex is triggered by something and I can't function. And I am not just speaking hypothetically. I get it. What things can we do to get our physical bodies and our minds back into a place so then we can experience more of this peace, this truth? So EFT is something that I love. It's emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as tapping. If you've seen my website at www.amykhauser.com, you'll see that as one of the services that I offer, because I've mentioned I love it. It can be very quick or it can be drawn out and very long and almost used meditatively. And what I love to do on myself is do sometimes what I call a quick, like a reset, if you will, for my mind, to connect my mind, my heart, my being, my spirit, and get back into my right mind, if you will. And then I can shift into a place of contemplation or contemplative prayer and just be experiencing Mr. Peace. And so what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do a really quick tapping on peace. And this would not be a typical session that I would have. This is just like a little mini boost to bring us back into that place that maybe we're just in a place. Shoot, this can be done in a bathroom stall at work if it needs to be done. That just helps us recenter, because what's important to really remember is that like our body is an expression of our beliefs and our perceptions. And anytime we have unprocessed emotions, beliefs, traumas, all of those things actually inform the perception or the lens that we use to see the world around us. And really what's important is that impacts how we see ourselves in union or from a lens of separation with God. And when I find myself in a place that I feel like I'm alone and God's not accessible, not there, and I feel separate from him, I realize that I'm seeing something that's not been processed, and it affects my mind, my body, my whole being. So EFT really helps us process these emotions or traumas or whatever it is into an attitude of self-acceptance. And when we start from that, that's a biblical based truth. Self-acceptance. We are accepted in the beloved. We often don't accept ourselves. So it helps rewire the brain to get us back into that place of aligning with the truth. So then we can shift into agreement with that truth, his truth, that is our truth. So if you want, what I do, a lot of times, you know what, I even grabbed this little thing. I've got this little flower that sweet Jenny, my neighbor, gave me, and it's for essential oils. Sometimes I put a little essential oils, like a calming blend or something, and I just have that accessible. I can smell it, or one of those nice diffusers. And I breathe. I do some breathing to bring me into a place of deep peace and comfort and just diaphragmatic breathing. So you can just watch, or you can follow along, or just listen if you want. And I'm just going to do a very quick, like 3-minute. So this again is not one that actually helps really rewire the brain long term, but brings us into a place of presence right now. So I just soften my eyes, close them, take in a deep breath. Just feel my feet on the ground and become aware of where I'm at. And then you can watch on my video. I'll explain this when I'm done. And I'm just going to start tapping, and I tap on what I call the karate chop point. And I say, even though I'm feeling a lot of tension in my body and lacking peace, I choose to accept myself and how I feel right here, right now. Even though I'm feeling tense due to all the things going on in my life, and it's hard for me to relax, I choose to love myself for how I feel and what's going on in my life right here, right now. Even though I have all this tension in my body and I can feel it in my neck, and my heart and my mind races. I choose to accept how I feel right now and allow myself to feel these things. Even though all of this tension is rising up, I choose to open myself to the idea that peace is for me. I open my mind and my heart to responding differently. Peace is available. And I open my mind, my heart, and my body to receive. Peace resides in me, and peace is available. So I choose to open my mind and tune into my body and become aware of this peace, this ever-present peace that surrounds me, envelops me, and is pulsating through my veins. Underarm. When I tune into this reality, that is actually a reality, something begins to shift throughout me. Top ahead. As I breathe deep, I sense the peace lovingly pursuing me. Eyebrow. And I am open and available to receive. Sides of eyes. Anything in me that resists this peace can rest and know that you're included. That this peace is for me now. It never leaves under eye. It's always here, always present, lovingly beckoning me to receive. Under nose. I sense this peace and allow it to fill me from my toes, chin point, throughout my legs, collarbone, throughout my whole midsection, and up through my heart. This peace, I'm becoming so aware of this peace and its presence in me, holding me, loving me, snuggling me, welcoming me back. So I breathe in peace and see it like it expands, not only within me, but can begin to flow out of me. I am present right here, right now. Everything else can wait. Right here, in this very moment, peace is for me. Christ is in me. And I don't have to do anything but step in and say yes. Underarms. I'm allowing my body to calm, to be present, top of head, and to step into whatever comes my way next. Christ in me allows me to take back control, eyebrows, of my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, as I release my past, release the pain, sides of eyes, and release anything that is not serving me, under eyes. I step in and I say yes, under mouth, under nose. I say yes to love, chin point. I say yes to life, collarbone. And I say yes to peace. Nothing is broken. I return to my oneness with Christ. And I say, thank you. And then I just stop tapping and just tune in to how I'm feeling. So anyway, that's a quick, just lowering cortisol, letting our immune system just align with peace, slip into the parasympathetic rather than the sympathetic nervous system where peace can come in. And when we do this on a regular basis, whether it's for 2 minutes, whether it's for 30 minutes, and I can walk anybody through the process of how we actually can rewire our neural pathways and come into this state where our mind is changing and rebuilding how we respond in crisis moments. If you want to know more, check out my website, www.amykhauser.com, and book an appointment, and we can do this together. But that gives you a taste of what EFT is. And if you go to my YouTube channel, at the bottom of my website, you can go there and you can watch some intro and get some more information on what those tapping points are, what they mean, what's going on there with those acupressure points. And it's not woo-woo, y'all. This is God working through us, giving us tools to bring us into that place where we can really align with the truth of who we are in Him. So thanks for hopping on. I'm glad you're here, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Oh, shoot. Bye.